Abram, called by God, lived in Canaan. Abram was married to Sarai, but they had no children. Among their many servants was a young woman named Hagar, an Egyptian maidservant. She worked faithfully in Abram's household, serving day after day. Though she was present, her life was not her own. A servant, a shadow in a larger story. Years passed. Sarah waited, but no child came. Her heart grew restless, and she doubted God's promise. So she devised a plan. She called Hagar, seeking a child for Abraham. Then Sarai came to Abram and said, "Behold now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. I pray you, go in to my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her." Abram listened to Sarai's voice. So Sarai gave Hagar to Abram as a wife, and Hagar conceived. But as her belly grew, so did the tension. When Hagar saw that she was pregnant, she looked upon Sarai with contempt. And Sarai said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace, and now that she is pregnant, she despises me. Let the Lord judge between me and you." Abram replied, "Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please." Sarai dealt harshly with Hagar. Her words, her looks, cut deep. Hagar's spirit broke, and she ran. Hagar fled into the wilderness. She was alone and afraid. The sun blazed down, and her heart was heavy. No one followed, no one saw, or so she thought. But God saw her. Under the shade of a tree, the angel of the Lord found her. He spoke her name lovingly. Hagar wept. Hopeful tears fell. "Hagar, where are you going?" "I flee my mistress, Sarai." "Angel, return. Obey your mistress." Then came the promise, "I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so they shall not be numbered for multitude. Behold, you are with child, and shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard." Hagar's heart swelled with awe. "You are El Roi, the God who sees me." "God sees me," she whispered. Her strength was renewed. Hagar became overwhelmed with relief. Her heart beating fast, her mind still echoing the angel's words. "Return. God sees you. God hears you." She was finally seen. She was finally seen. She survived. Her tale lives on. She survived. Her story lives. She returned, but now she didn't walk as a servant cast out. She walked as a woman seen, as a mother carrying a promise. Every step forward, she held onto the name whispered to her, Ishmael. God hears. Hagar, from servant to divine woman, she's determined to protect her child, strength renewed. And so, Hagar returned to Abram's camp. Hagar stepped back into Sarai's tent, the same place she once felt unseen. But Hagar's heart was different. God saw her. She knew it. But this time, hope, not just wait. She bore. She walked, knowing El Roi. The God who sees her was with her. And in time, she bore Abram a son. Abram named his son Ishmael. Hagar knew, even when no one else saw her, God had seen her. He had heard her affliction and kept his promise. God's love is always present. God saw Hagar, and he still sees. He is El Roi, the God who sees, the God who hears.